Today we're going to talk about the Charter Arms Pit Bull. It's called the Target Pit Bull. It is anything but a Target Pit Bull when you get it from Charter Arms. First of all, the front side on it was tipped way over to the right. It was way over about here. Secondly, the screw didn't have enough adjustment to get the rear sight up far enough. It shot way low and right. If you had the screw on the very last thread, it was still shooting too low. And if you took the screw out, if you turned it one more turn, the threads came out of the gun, and then the sight popped up too high. And it moved back and forth on that single screw up here, so that no two shots were ever in the same place. You couldn't tighten that down enough to hold it in place for more than two shots. So I sent it back to Charter Arms. Oh, and also the release mechanism wouldn't push. Sometimes it would open the gun. Sometimes you could use both thumbs on it and you couldn't push it. The only reliable way of opening it was to pull the pin out here. You could not get this to work. I tried loosening that screw and that helped a little bit, but it was still, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. If you tighten the screw all the way down like it should be able to be, then it almost never worked. So I sent all those complaints back to Charter Arms. They had the gun a little over a month. They sent it back to me with a target that they had fired at. I assume they replaced the barrel in order to get that sight straight on it. And then they test fired it 5 times, and it was still shooting low and right. They hadn't tried to adjust the sight to see if there's enough adjustment in it to ever bring it into what would be called a target model mode. So I was pretty disappointed in it when I got it back. As a result, they wouldn't answer my email when I called them about getting a longer screw. And I emailed them several times, and they never answered me. So I told them that I was going to do a review for my 1,500 followers and tell them what a piece of crap this gun really is. No, it doesn't cost much. Yes, it's made in the United States. So what do we expect of things made in the United States? Maybe a little higher quality. The business is owned by a veteran, and he hires all of his help are veterans. I would have thought a little more pride and workmanship would have been in order. But Charter Arms has no pride in workmanship. And there's been other complaints on gun forums and on a YouTube video with that front sight being crooked. It's supposed to be a target model, and it certainly is not a target model. It does have a real good trigger on it. 4 pounds. Double action is almost unusable. You wouldn't target shoot with double action anyway. But also, when you released it, even when the latch released, the center pin right there always catches in that slot. and there was a big molded ridge along that slot that also kept it from going out smoothly. So I took my moto tool, I polished that surface all up, and then that little screw right there, you need to back that out so that it's flush with the casting here, so that it's flush with the rest of the casting. Because that is the part that when you push this forward, when you push the latch forward, it pushes that little screw out so that it can push that pin out. So that should be flush. Now, I loosened the screw a little bit and I oiled it up and I polished all those surfaces, and now it opens up just as smooth as can be. That's the way it should have come from the factory. There's no reason that I have to be a gunsmith and do all that stuff myself. Right, it's not the most expensive gun on the market, I understand that. And there's one other company, I can't remember the name of it, that makes a revolver in 9mm that doesn't use moon clips, but that's a $1,500 gun. I would hope it's a heck of a lot better than this one. However, I've got it good enough now that it is a target model in my opinion. And we're going to shoot it here a little bit, and I'm going to show you some targets that I hit with it. And I've got it where it will actually hit the bullseye now at the 25 feet that the factory tests them at. So let's give it a look. Okay. This doesn't use moon clips, so you do have to put a little bit of pressure on the round to insert it, because it has to overcome that little spring tension in there. Okay, there you got to see it shoot. Here's how it ejects. Perfectly clean. It's a lot of fun to shoot. Except for the occasional stray bullet, this will put 4 out of 5 rounds inside of a quarter at the 25 feet that the factory tests them at. In case you're wondering what hearing protection I'm using, these are called the Sense Guard, and the sound goes into these echo chambers and isn't transmitted to your ear. And they do a real good job of sound attenuation.